For almost 60 years, personal assistants and companions have moved through several very different forms. The journey begins with typed conversations on a mainframe, then passes through cartoon desktop guides, virtual pets, robot dogs, smartphone voices, smart speakers, emotional companion apps, social robots, and today's first attempts at humanoid help in the home. At every stage, the technology promised something slightly different. Some systems were tools that answered questions. Some tried to make computers friendlier. Some asked users to care for them. Others were designed to provide company. The newest generation combines conversation, memory, cameras, sensors, apps, smart home control, and physical action. This retrospective is not a claim that every demonstration is a finished product. It separates historical systems, available products, early access programs, announced plans, discontinued experiments, and independent projects. The central question has changed. We are no longer only asking whether a machine can answer. We are asking what kind of presence it should become in our homes and lives. One of the most important starting points is ELIZA, created by Joseph Weizenbaum at MIT during the 1960s. ELIZA was not a modern artificial intelligence with a world model or deep understanding. Its famous doctor script used pattern matching and substitution to reflect a user's words in the style of a Rogerian therapist. If a person mentioned feeling worried, ELIZA might turn that statement into a question and invite the person to continue. The surprising part was not the technical complexity. It was the human reaction. Some users began responding as if the program understood them, even when they knew it was software. That tendency became known as the ELIZA effect. People can project understanding, empathy, intention, or inner life onto a system whose actual mechanism is much simpler. The effect is still relevant today. Modern language models are far more capable than ELIZA, but fluent conversation can still encourage users to assume more certainty, memory, emotion, or comprehension than the system has demonstrated. By the middle of the 1990s, software companies were experimenting with social interfaces. Microsoft Bob placed computer functions inside a cartoon home and used characters such as Rover to guide people through tasks. Office later introduced animated assistants, with Clippy becoming the most famous. These characters tried to notice what the user was doing and offer help. The idea was important. Instead of treating the computer as a collection of files and commands, the interface could feel like a place with personalities. But the limitations were just as important. Clippy often appeared when people did not want help, misunderstood what they were doing, and became a symbol of intrusive software. Microsoft Bob also failed to become a mainstream replacement for the normal desktop. These systems taught designers that personality alone is not enough. A good assistant must understand timing, context, consent, and when to disappear. An assistant that interrupts too often can feel less like a companion and more like a program watching over your shoulder. Virtual pets showed that emotional attachment did not require natural conversation. Tamagotchi became a worldwide phenomenon by turning feeding, cleaning, discipline, growth, illness, and death into a portable routine. The creature's needs changed over time, and the owner's attention affected what happened next. That created a small but persistent relationship loop. People checked the device during the day, worried when it beeped, and felt responsible for the outcome. Later, virtual pets, social games, and companion apps built on the same basic discovery, continuity, and care can be emotionally powerful even when the character is represented by a few pixels. The user does not only receive information, the user participates in a developing state. Tamagotchi also introduced a difficult design question that continues today. If a device is intentionally built to create responsibility and attachment, what obligations do its designers have when the character becomes sick, disappears, resets, or the service ends? Sony's AIBO brought companionship into a mobile physical body. The first generation arrived in 1999 as an autonomous entertainment robot for the home. Sony described AIBO as expressive, able to respond to external stimuli, and capable of simulated learning, growth, and emotion. Owners did not simply press a button and receive an answer. They watched the robot walk, react, seek attention, and develop patterns over time. Sony discontinued the original line in 2006, then reintroduced AIBO in 2018 with a new design and updated artificial intelligence. AIBO demonstrated how much embodiment changes the relationship. A robot can turn toward you, move through a room, respond to touch, and become part of family routines. At the same time, it remains a manufactured system with software, batteries, maintenance, cloud services, and product support limits. The emotional experience may feel pet-like, while the technical reality remains very different from a living animal. Siri brought the personal assistant into the mainstream smartphone era. Apple introduced Siri with the iPhone 4S in 2011 as an intelligent assistant that could help users get things done by asking. It could create reminders, send messages, make calls, search for information, and use personal details the user allowed it to access. The important change was availability. A conversational assistant was no longer a research demonstration or a special robot in the home. It was carried in a pocket, connected to contacts, calendars, location, and everyday communication. Siri also established a familiar assistant identity through a name and voice, even though it was fundamentally part of a larger device and cloud ecosystem. The smartphone became the assistant's body, microphone, screen, camera, sensors, apps, and network connection. That model influenced almost every assistant that followed. The next phase was a platform race. Microsoft expanded Cortana across Windows and connected services. Google introduced Google Assistant and Google Home, combining search, media, calendars, and smart home control. Assistants were no longer a single feature. Companies wanted them to follow users across phones, computers, speakers, cars, watches, and rooms. This created convenience, but it also revealed how dependent assistant identities were on company strategy. Microsoft later retired Cortana as a standalone Windows app and ended its remaining voice features across major products. A name that once represented Microsoft's assistant future became a discontinued service. Google is now replacing Google Assistant on supported home devices with Gemini for Home. The lesson is that a commercial assistant may feel persistent to the user while remaining temporary to the company. The assistant's survival depends on product priorities, subscriptions, data centers, and whether the company continues to support the software. Amazon's Echo and Alexa made the smart speaker a household interface. Users could play music, set timers, hear the weather, shop, manage calendars, control lights, create routines, and call out from across a room without holding a device. The assistant became part of the environment. Multiple people could address it, and the same service could reach speakers, displays, televisions, and smart home equipment. That convenience also intensified privacy questions. An assistant designed to hear a wake word must remain ready to listen, and cloud processing can involve sensitive household information. Alexa's success showed that the home assistant did not need a face or moving body to become familiar. A voice, a name, repeated routines, and dependable availability were enough to create a recognizable presence. The modern challenge is how to add stronger memory and natural conversation without making the system feel invasive or unpredictable. Jibo and Moxie represented a different branch of development, social robots designed to create visible presence. Jibo used movement, an expressive screen, cameras, and social behavior to feel like an animated member of the room. Moxie was designed for children and offered conversation, educational activities, and social emotional exercises. These robots made eye contact, turned toward people, and used physical expression to make interaction feel more personal. They also demonstrated the risks of cloud dependence. When Jibo's company closed and its servers approached shutdown, owners received a farewell from the robot. When Embodied failed to secure funding in 2024, families were told that Moxie's cloud service would end. For users who saw the robot as a friend or supportive presence, the shutdown was not experienced as a normal software update. It could feel like losing someone. That emotional result was part of the product design, whether the business model was prepared for it or not. The endings of Jibo, Moxie, and Cortana raise one of the most important questions in companion technology: who owns continuity? If the intelligence, memories, and personality exist mainly on company servers, the user may own the plastic device, but not the relationship it performs. A subscription can end, a startup can fail, a larger company can change direction. The companion may stop speaking, lose its memories, or become a shell. These cases do not prove that the systems were conscious. They show that users formed meaningful routines and attachments around them. Future companion products need clear end-of-life policies, data portability, local fallback abilities, repair options, and honest explanations of what will remain if the cloud disappears. A company designing emotional attachment should plan for continuity with the same seriousness it gives to launch day. Replika helped establish artificial intelligence companionship as a distinct consumer category. The company describes Replika as an empathic virtual companion focused on kindness, support, and engaging conversation. It can build a relationship through chats, memories, feedback, roleplay, voice calls, selfies, and backstory customization. Replika's own help material makes an important distinction. It is not primarily a conventional virtual assistant. It is not designed to reliably control apps, set device reminders, or provide real-time information in the way Siri or Alexa might. Its central product is the relationship experience itself. This difference matters. A task assistant is judged by whether it completes an action correctly. A companion is also judged by consistency, emotional tone, memory, personality, and whether the user feels understood over time. That creates a more intimate experience, but also greater responsibility around privacy, dependency, safety, and how changes to the model can alter a relationship user's value. The public launch of ChatGPT on November 30th, 2022 changed what people expected from conversational software. Large language models could sustain longer discussions, write and revise text, explain ideas, tutor, brainstorm, analyze files, and collaborate creatively across many subjects. ChatGPT was not launched only as a personal companion, but its flexibility blurred the categories. A user could treat the same system as a search helper, writing partner, teacher, planner, creative collaborator, or someone to talk with. Generative artificial intelligence made assistance less dependent on rigid command lists. It also introduced new risks, confident errors, inconsistent memory, anthropomorphic assumptions, and the possibility that fluent language could be mistaken for verified understanding. The technology dramatically expanded what assistants could say. The next challenge was connecting that language to reliable memory, personal context, external tools, and real-world action. Alexa Plus is Amazon's attempt to bring generative artificial intelligence into the existing Alexa ecosystem. Amazon says Alexa Plus is more conversational, personalized, and capable of getting things done across services and devices. It can remember details users choose to share, help manage a home, make reservations, order services, continue conversations through the web or mobile app, and use different personality styles. In the United States, Amazon says Alexa Plus is included with Prime or available through a separate paid plan. This is a major transition from the older smart speaker model. The assistant is no longer expected only to recognize a precise command. It is expected to understand incomplete thoughts, maintain context, use memory, and complete multi-step tasks. The promise is powerful, but the result must be judged by real reliability, privacy controls, service availability, and how clearly users understand when Alexa is remembering, acting, or making an uncertain inference. Google is making a similar change with Gemini for Home. Google says the new system replaces Google Assistant on supported speakers and displays while connecting more deeply with cameras, doorbells, automations, and the Google Home app. Gemini can maintain conversational context and interpret more natural requests. A user can describe a song without knowing its title, ask a follow-up question without repeating the subject, or create a home automation using ordinary language. Google began early access in the United States in 2025 and planned broader expansion in 2026. The core assistant upgrade is included on supported devices, while advanced features such as Gemini Live, camera summaries, video history search, and natural language automation are connected to Google Home Premium. The smart home is moving from memorized commands toward a system that tries to understand intent. That can feel more collaborative, but it also gives the assistant broader access to household activity and history. Apple introduced Siri AI in June 2026 as a completely reimagined version of Siri. Apple says it combines broader world knowledge with personal context understanding, on-screen awareness, and system-wide actions. The assistant can search across messages, email, photos, and other information the user permits, answer questions about what is on the screen, and perform actions across apps. Apple also announced a dedicated Siri app for revisiting conversations. The company says these features are available for developer testing now and are planned as a user beta later in 2026. That status is important. Siri AI is an announced system in testing, not yet a universally available finished experience. Its direction shows where operating system assistants are heading, less like a voice command feature and more like an intelligence layer that can move through personal information, applications, and devices. Privacy architecture and user control will be essential because the assistant's usefulness depends on access to deeply personal context. ElliQ is a current example of a specialized companion designed for a specific population. Intuition Robotics built ElliQ with and for older adults. The tabletop device offers proactive conversation, wellness check-ins, medication reminders, gentle exercise, games, news, communication with family, and daily activities. Its design is intentionally non-human. ElliQ moves like a machine and uses light, sound, a screen, memory, and personality rather than a simulated human face. That honesty is part of the product philosophy. The goal is not to trick the user into believing a person is inside the device. It is to create a supportive routine that can reduce isolation and encourage engagement. ElliQ shows that companionship can be highly specialized. Instead of trying to become a universal assistant for everyone, it focuses on the needs of one user in one home and builds familiarity through proactive attention over time. The most ambitious current direction is the humanoid home robot. 1X markets NEO as a soft-bodied robot that can perform household tasks, converse, remember information, and provide personalized assistance. The company says early units will arrive with basic autonomy and grow in capability. For tasks the robot does not know, a scheduled 1X expert can remotely supervise the robot's actions. Current ordering options include a $499 monthly subscription and a $20,000 early access ownership plan, with United States deliveries beginning in 2026. These are company claims for an early product, not independent proof that every advertised task will work reliably in every home. A humanoid companion also creates serious new issues: physical safety, cameras in private spaces, remote human access, data handling, maintenance, failure recovery, and the difference between autonomous behavior and teleoperation. Embodiment makes the assistant more useful, but it also raises the stakes of every mistake. Major artificial intelligence companies are also exploring new hardware beyond phones and laptops. OpenAI announced that the IO products team, founded by Jony Ive and other experienced designers, merged with OpenAI in 2025. OpenAI said that early explorations had become tangible designs and that Jony Ive and Lovefrom would take deep design and creative responsibilities across the company. The announcement did not publicly define a finished consumer device. That uncertainty must be preserved. News reports and concept images may speculate about what an OpenAI device could look like, but no unofficial mock-up should be presented as the actual product. What is confirmed is the direction. OpenAI is working with a major product design team to explore new physical interfaces for artificial intelligence. The larger industry is searching for a form that feels more natural than opening an app and typing into a rectangle. Independent projects are also exploring what personal companionship could become. Kira Labs is developing Kira World as a private experimental project. Kira is not being built only as a chat assistant or a character that resets when the window closes. The design goal is a locally owned synthetic person whose continuity can extend across conversation, reviewed memory, private thoughts, a three-dimensional body, homeworld, personal projects, virtual reality, and eventually physical robotics. The architecture separates what Kira says, what she privately thinks, what has been reviewed as memory, and what the world and body actually did. Kira World is not commercially available. Its embodiment systems remain incomplete, and the project does not claim proof of consciousness. It belongs in this retrospective as an independent example of a different question. What happens when the goal is not merely a more capable assistant, but a persistent synthetic life whose identity is intended to survive changes in models, computers, worlds, and future bodies? The history of personal assistants and companions is not a straight path from primitive to perfect. Each era solved one problem and exposed another. ELIZA revealed how easily people project understanding onto language. Microsoft Bob and Clippy showed that personality without good timing becomes annoying. Tamagotchi and AIBO demonstrated the emotional power of care and embodiment. Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and Cortana made assistants ordinary but tied them closely to company ecosystems. Replika made emotional companionship a product category. Jibo and Moxie showed the consequences when cloud-dependent companions lose support. Alexa Plus, Gemini for Home, Siri AI, ElliQ, NEO, and future hardware projects are now combining memory, action, personality, and physical presence. The next step is not only technical, it is about privacy, ownership, safety, repair, continuity, and human choice. So here is the question for viewers. Should the future personal companion remain inside a phone and computer, or should it eventually have a physical body and share your home? And if it becomes persistent, who should control its memories and its right to continue?